Welcome to session 3 of our relationship series. You know, we have been kind of marching right through this relationship attachment model because it actually captures the major connections of your relationship. A relationship, by definition, is a connection, but these are the specific connections. So we looked at know, we're going to talk about trust today, and then we're going to go into rely, commit, and then touch. But really, these areas are the bonds, and they do fluctuate as life kind of impacts our relationships. So sometimes they go down a little bit, and then it's up to you to bring them up. We said all of them are very dynamic, interactive, but when you can define what's going on, when you can see it, this model will help empower you to actively run your relationship. The know we looked at last session, and we talked about how to stay in the know by being open. You remember having good depth of conversations, as well as practicing those 6 skills of communication.
So we are now looking at the second bond, which is trust. Trust is so crucial to a safe and secure marriage relationship, right? So we're going to get started with giving you a practical definition of trust.
You know, when we usually think of trust, the first thing that comes to mind is fidelity.
Yeah.
I trust that you will be faithful to me. But we're really going to cover this topic of dealing with major challenges to trust when we get to the topic of commitment. So that will be in a couple sessions. But in this one, we want to look at actually the smaller issues of trust. So the little deals. Because honestly, those little deals can start adding up and fester into a big deal and end up crippling your relationship.
So in this session, we're going to delve into the way you build and maintain positive attitudes of trust towards your spouse and how the little negative attitudes can become the seeds of resentment.
So let me give you a practical definition of trust. Trust is a feeling of confidence, right?
Yeah.
Security, safeness. We can all agree with that. But this feeling of confidence or trust actually comes from what you're thinking about your partner, your belief, you could say your opinion of them. It's not the same as what you know about your partner. For you could know your partner really well and actually have your trust
Be pretty low, right?
Be pretty low. But trust is how you take what you know, kind of like the different pieces or details of their life, and you begin to organize them in some kind of a, picture, representation of your partner, something we're going to call the trust picture of your partner.
Yeah, it's so true what you said about sometimes the more you know, the less that you trust. Because you see, know is all about the facts, but trust is what you think of those facts, so your opinion of those facts. And a common word we use for this is your attitude.
So in your relationship, you have an attitude towards your spouse that creates some feelings of trust or mistrust. So the big ticket items is what we usually think about, right? But let's talk about the smaller things, like do you trust your spouse to put their dirty clothes in the hamper?
Yeah, when my husband's with our 2 kids, I have to remind him a lot of times, like, hey, you got to feed the kids when I'm not there.
So your trust picture comes from how you arrange the pieces of what you know about your spouse. What you choose to bring to the forefront or what you focus on starts to become accentuated. The things that you put into the background tend to disappear. So when we get into a bad attitude, it's actually that we've taken certain things about our spouse and made them center stage in our thoughts and our feelings.
Yeah, even the littlest pet peeves can instantly rearrange our trust picture so that the more negative qualities are moved front and center and our attitude changes from good to bad.
How long do we have? No. You can be honest.
Well, I mean, you could have so many.
Oh, really? Do tell.
I don't know.
Clutter, the way he chews. Where do I start?
When I come home and they're like a mountain of dishes, and that just drives me crazy.
He has this like flosser, like he flosses, and just picks and flosses and makes noises, and it's really irritating.
He can be looking right at me and not hear anything that I'm saying.
Well, she always tells me that I talk too much, when I'm talking to other people. I'm too long-winded, the story is too long, and a lot of times she'll look at me and be like, no one cares.
You use a toilet paper roll, but don't put one back, and it'll just be empty. And every time I go to the bathroom, there'd be no toilet paper.
He was very critical of how I made the bed when we were first married.
40-some years ago, I might
And I
add.
said, okay, I don't care if it ever gets made. Knock yourself out. So he's been making the bed ever since.
She gets so paranoid when I'm driving and she thinks I'm gonna run into the people next to us, or I'm driving too fast, or she's like, kind of thing.
This girl is late to everything.
Today's a bad example.
Today's a perfect example, actually.
She never pre-washes anything she puts in the dishwasher. So she knows it won't come clean, but she puts it in there anyway.
He scrapes the bowl when there's like no more ice cream left, and he's still scraping it with the spoon for like 5 minutes, but there's no ice cream left and you're still scraping?
There's always ice cream.
No, there's none in there.
There's always.
2 minutes later, he'll ask me a question, and it's literally what I've just been talking about.
Now I just to save an argument, I learned how to just
Replace it
just
himself.
do it myself. Don't even worry about it. There's no sense in bringing it up and having an argument about it, because I'm gonna be upset and she's gonna be like, whatever. So I just got over it.
All right, I'm totally gonna put you on the spot, but what are some of your pet peeves in marriage?
Well, let me see. Okay, my wife is a super efficient manager of our home. She makes all the meals, she's always willing to clean up the dishes, but I do try to jump in and help. But every time I do, I have to completely rearrange the dishwasher. I don't want to complain to her because I don't want her to say, all right, then you just do it from now on. But I quietly have to reorganize this mess of how she throws the dishes in the dishwasher.
I mean, there really are endless amounts of pet peeves, like toilet paper on the roll backwards, not putting gas in the car.
There is really one way to put the toilet paper on, just to clarify that for all of you out there.
I mean, and apparently, I don't know, my husband doesn't understand that I'm way too busy to screw the lid back on the toothpaste.
All right, since you got me on a roll here, I have another one. My wife is a natural coach. I mean, she took over a cross-country team, literally of 4 runners in your rural high school. And within 10 years, she had 130 kids come out for cross-country. She's absolutely amazing. And I love how she coaches me. She gives me pep talks and motivates me. She's a source of constant encouragement. So with all of that being said, I just don't like to be coached when I'm driving. I mean, we can be at a red light, having a wonderful conversation, and when the light turns green, before my foot can get from the brake to the gas, she says, go. You would think I know that green light means go, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it just grinds my gears when she does that. Aren't we all just so sensitive?
We are so sensitive, but we gotta think about how quickly one of these little pet peeves can just switch our attitude from the light to the dark side. I mean, it's in a nanosecond.